it's a must. Cold beers poured and mates all around. Yeah, this is our home, this is our town. Raise your glass, it's 100 years strong. From dawn till dusk we'll sing this song. From the soldiers' walk to the sun's golden glow. This town's got fire, this town's got soul. Yeah, the camels by the track stand tall. Welcome to Wakool, mate, we've seen it all. Quiet streets and friendly folk, the post office for a coffee and to share a joke. Sunday sippers at the club feel right. Long bowls gossip at the pub all night. Lightning cracks but the rain won't stay. Still we chat and laugh our cares away. The town's new faces fitted in with pride, and old names here stand the test of time. Some folks' roots run deep as clay. Their granddad's hands built yesterday. Generations carve this ground, and the spirit's still all around. As you enter town in the fading light, the galvanized farms shining bright. You can feel the pride in the summer air. A century gone, but we're still here. Till dusk we'll sing this song. From the soldiers' walk to the sun's golden glow. This town's got fire, this town's got soul. Yeah, the camels by the track stand tall. Welcome to Wakool, mate, we've seen it all. Once ruled the game, played with heart, played with flame. Yellow and brown through the years gone by, the spirit still soars in the evening sky. The pride to a town with heart that'll never die. First sunrise to our racing sheet, to the reddest of dirt beneath your feet. Here's to the stories, the people, the pride, to a town with heart that'll never die. From the first sunrise to our racing sheet, to the reddest of dirt beneath your feet. Welcome to Wakool. We've seen it all. So raise your glass to 100 more, to the dusty roads and the open doors. From the paddocks wide to the pub at night, we'll be rocking here till the morning light. Wakool, mate, we've seen it all. Yeah, the camels by the track stand tall. Welcome to Wakool, mate, we've seen it all.
Amazing job. For anyone who would like a copy of that music, it's available on CD and USB, $10 a pop. So please feel free to grab yourself a copy for your reminiscing. I'm going to hand this over to the MCs for the evening. Please enjoy the rest of the night.
Red dust rising on.
Chase, you've done a great job, mate. He's a quiet sort of a character, and I just saw him shoot off out the back there. He won't probably show his face in here, will he, Roach? No, probably not. Anyway, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We're all familiar with the term 7 degrees of separation. Tonight, we're only separated by a mere one. We're all here as part of the rich tapestry that is Wakool and the surrounding districts. My name is Jason, and my yarn in this work of art involves my marriage to the lovely Sarah, whose father and siblings grew up in Wakool. Sarah's nan Bron, I've just lost my speech. Sarah's nan Bron tended the canteen under the purple and gold for years. Her pa, Bill Lane, was one of the keepers at the internment camp at Tullicool. I grew up and brought my kids up on a dairy farm my parents purchased in 1982 down Nullarbema Lane. My mother and her brothers and sister learnt the skills of life on a block drawn in the ballot by their parents Frank and Kaz Sheldrick on Tawakool. A block that is now owned by my good friend and co-compere tonight.
Thank you, Jace. How's your voice? It's a great start. I'd also like to welcome everyone here tonight as well. I'm very fortunate to be a part of the Wakool and Surround story by being born into a farming family not far from here as well, and carrying a tradition that's a fifth generational farmer. My grandparents, Gwen and Jeff Martin, farmed at New Home at New Home out Rangemore, and they sold that after the 56 floods, which you'll hear a bit about later on. They were pretty devastating in the times, and so they thought, we can't handle these floods anymore, we're going to move out. We moved somewhere else, and they Granddad searched New South Wales and Victoria and travelled all over to find somewhere better to farm. And not 12 months later, they purchased Junabong at Burraboy, 10 miles from the original block. So it says a lot about the area and the district, and searched a couple of states looking for somewhere better, and they didn't end up going anywhere, and very fortunate still to be part of this community. My parents, Greg and Audrey Martin, still live and farm there now, and I have the absolute pleasure, Brian Martin with my wife Alex, to raise our three children in Kath Sheldrick's, Kath Mather's house that her father Frank and mother Kath built when they received Farm 17, as it's still called now, in the first ballot of the Soldier Settler Block. I might be the first one to go. So it is an absolute pleasure and privilege to be raising my three children in that and carrying on the history of this area. And that is where we'll lead into introducing 4 guest speakers that we have tonight, and we're just going to roll with it. Jason, I've done a lot. Jason's done a lot to do a bit of research through all this and just prepare a bit of night for everyone. It's not a this is your life. It's just, we're just going to talk. We're just going to tell some stories and reminisce. And there's a lot of stuff that we could talk here for 10 hours on different things. But we're just going to try and get through some different categories. If we forget anything that anyone thinks is really important, we apologise, but just hopefully enjoy the night. And I'd start with our first guest on that, with Kath Mather's, nee Sheldrick. If you could come up the front, please, Kath. Our second guest speaker, Jill Robinson, nee Wood. Could you please make your way up as well? George Rathbone, nee Rathbone. And we had a late-minute inclusion that is also going to do a great job of it, and he'll wing it pretty well, I believe. Kingsley Green. Kath, if I could start with yourself. You'll be right, composed, easy. It's an easy gig. Yeah. Start with the heavies. No lights, no mids up here. Kath, you're a teacher. You've born here. You've probably taught a lot of people. When we had a little chat with you the other day, one thing that really stood out to me in here, and I'll just start your introduction. You mentioned a couple of plants and the colours of Wakool that really, and the colours did change, but they are on the wall over there, one of those premiership jumpers and that side as well. And would you like to start with introducing yourself and tell a little bit about yourself as well, and explain those plants and that story of the Wakool colours.
Okay. Thanks for that, Brian and Jace. We actually met Sam Coote rather than Kingsley, and George and Jill and I at the at the club with these guys, and it was just an informal chat, and we told a few stories that won't possibly be repeated here tonight. But one of the things that I said is, to me, Wakool's always been purple and gold, because if you fly over at certain times of the year, you've got dandelions and you've got Patterson's Curse. You drive from Barham out here, you've got, wattle trees, Patterson's Curse. So I was really sad when Wakool ceased to be purple and gold, but time marches on and I realise the reasons for it. But, yeah. Do you agree?
I do.
Thank you, Kath. Jill, yourself, during our chat, I found it very interesting that both of your grandparents farmed in this area way before, a long time ago. If you could probably, apologies, obviously. It was very interesting to me that they were both here originally, and would you like to explain the farms they own and then how you met your husband and through that side of things?
Oh, well, my maternal is that better? My maternal grandparents owned Telcook, and my paternal grandparents owned Warcooler, which Chris and Susie Wood took over from Uncle Edwin, and now it belongs to Shane and Lynn McNall. So that's my, what do I say? Bruce's parents came, I think, in 1937 or something, Ian. I don't know whether I've got it right. So we both went to school. Bruce, I met him at, just local. And so away we went, yeah.
And the farm that you and Bruce owned?
That was Bruce's parents, Harvey and Ethel Robinson. Yes. That's, yep.
Excellent. And
sorry.
George, ladies and gents, some may have passed through one of our neighbouring towns today, Barham, and if anyone's seen the artwork that they've done on that beautiful water tower there, George is actually one of the figures on that is up there, and it's to do with the ceremonies and celebrations and the remembrance of the Anzacs and that. Would you like to explain a bit of that, possibly, George, and go down that line?
Yes, we years ago were in the Holocaust, made a campaign around the Nollywood caucus.
This one we're sharing.
So we sort of got together the real, as we call them, the real light horse chaps that had been in the First World War. See, the light horse only lasted a year or two into the Second Year War, and then they got disbanded and they went into tanks. As a friend of mine, George Anthony, the family still got the farm out there. He said instead of riding horses, we were born around in tanks in the sand hills around Narandra and Griffith up there. So we thought, well, that generation's disappearing a bit, and we were fortunate. We had a chap that worked for Elders, and he used to deal with a lot of the stations between here and Hay, and some of them still had granddads that come back from the First World War, saddle and all still hanging up in the shed. So we managed to get a loan of some of that equipment, and there's a saddler in and that's how we started. In the meantime, we've got they set up a light horse association, Australian Light Horse Association, that we're all members of. It covers us for insurance and those sort of things, and we started to ride in the shows, and we actually, it was Jill's father that got us out. Father that got us out to Wakool, because he said, "Oh, come out here." There was we used to do 4. Those days we had 4 riders, and so we used to do the Nellicon, and then we'd come and that was on 11 o'clock. Then we'd get out here by 3 o'clock, ready to ride in Wakool. So that's how it all started. It's been a great experience because it went on, and now when I moved to Barham, the others have sort of dropped off. I don't think they ride at all in the Delica now, and I rang up the RSL and we'd like someone to lead the parade, and of course they jumped at it, and now I'm stuck with it. I still got the old horse, my daughter's horse, and he wanders along there. He's quite good. But where we had the experience of the association used to send every 5 years, they'd send more or less a busload of people, of light horsemen and their wives, over to Israel and all those places. And I was fortunate enough to went with them in 2017, and that was a great experience because we went round. The name of was on the road to Beersheba, and we followed the exact route that the original First World War fought their way up to Beersheba, and they had a camp. I thought to myself, I couldn't think of worse place, but the horse camp was beside the pyramids. Well, you got a few thousand horses with a furphy cart to cart the water to them, and feed and everything, but that's where their camp was. So we started off by, the chap had gone over before us and organised horses off riding schools and that. So we started off by riding around the pyramids, and then we, with bus or horses, we worked our way right up, and we also had some of the men had their father or their grandfather's diary, and that we used to pull up on be a bridge or something. The Turks, that we had to get rid of them before we went over, and so that was very interesting. Then, of course, when we got to Beersheba, the Arabs had sent the bombs. You all know they every now and again they'd send a few rockets over into of course they picked a good time, and our government said, "Oh no, you can't ride," but we had a meeting and said we'd come over here to ride, so we rode, and a lot of people turned up just for that day at Beersheba. So it was very good, but you can all be really rest assured that all the cemeteries over there, the war cemeteries, are very, very well kept, because a couple of our men, I say, had their diaries, and we found their graves and all that, so it's very well kept. That's a long answer to a short.
That is, and it is very fitting that your figure is resembled on for what you have done and what you've done for a long time, and it is beautiful. And Kath, you've written a little something that you're going to read out now to pass all our respects to what sort of George has been representing and what he's just mentioned and spoken about just now. So we'll just get the bifocals up here, and we'll be away. Perfect.
Okay, this is a little bit under false pretenses, because in actual fact, we neglected to mention the significance of the war the way we should have the night we talked. So I thought, right, we best be writing something down for these two guys. And I've arrived here tonight and they've handed it right back to me. So thanks, guys. Okay. And I apologise for reading. I really don't like people to public speaking and reading stuff, but it's your fault. Okay. It's obvious from accounts written in publications such as Walking with Time, The Wakool Story, and The History of Cochrane Creek that Wakool has always been a caring, inclusive community, and that continued in spades post-World War II. At the onset of World War II, 35 locals enlisted and 34 returned. Post-war, with the subdivision of Tulla, Chowa and Merengini stations for soldier settlement blocks, the district population exploded. Wakool by the early 50s had over 100 returned service men and women marching on Anzac Day, many in uniform. Your mum was one of those who marched in uniform, wasn't she, Jilly? Yeah. Okay. Sorry. While no two had identical experiences during the 6 years of war, they did have some things in common. They had spent up to that 6 years isolated from family and friends and relying on their mates for friendship, support and safety. We wish to acknowledge that not all returning from war did so in perfect health. However, for all those coming to this area after the war, and for those already resident, this signalled a new beginning, a chance to work hard, to play hard, to help your neighbour, to build a new life for your family and to contribute to the common good in whatever way you were able. This sense of community spirit, evident in the earliest records, continues to pass down through the generations and through all those lucky enough to call Wakool home. That's it. Thank you.
Beautifully written and spoken, Kath. Thank you very much. And part of our night here and today and everything that has happened today is based from those sacrifices and the Anzac days that we hold. And when we remember all those that had served and did for all the better of where we are today. And some of that is where it's all started from, and it's been great to have that start. So thank you. And Kingsley, we have not forgotten you. We did have Sam Coote, John was part of this, and he's fallen. He's a little bit ill today, so he's had to pull out. So Kingsley was only asked about an hour ago to fill in. So small shoes to fill, Kingsley. And probably part of your farming background and then into the sporting side of things or anything like that you'd like to introduce yourself or tell your side to anyone that might not know that is here.
Okay, thanks, Brian. Just to start off, there's a lot more people who've been in this area longer and have got a greater knowledge than what I have, but anyway, we'll battle through. I'd just like to add to what George said about the War Graves and the Commonwealth War Graves Commission. In 2017, I was lucky enough to go over with my a number of uncles, cousins and partners to Bullecourt in France. It was the 100th year anniversary to where my great uncle was killed in battle at the Battle of Bullecourt in World War I. And I had, first time I'd been overseas, and to be honest, I thought Paris was going to be full of graffiti and dog shit and poodles, but yeah, it's a great place, but it was even more to go over into the Western Front where Bullecourt was. I've never met such a humbling people. The locals there were very welcoming, to say, when you come from Australia. They're very grateful. We couldn't speak French, but they couldn't speak much English, but they had a lot of visitors over there. And I come back with a great admiration for those local people that were in in the battlefront zone. My uncle, great uncle, never come home. His body was never recovered. He's just got a name at Villas Veterinary, and he was a farmer. He was only 17 when he left Murungi, which is near Shepparton, not far out of Numurkah, and that's where Dad grew up as a child, and his great grandmother and so forth. And I would organise, well, my uncle and my cousin organised a trip, and about a month before I went over there, I drove past our old original farm at Murungi, scooped up a shovel full of dirt, shoved in my boots, and I went over to where his name is in front of the big memorial at Villas Veterinary, and put a pile of dirt from the old farm in front of his name. So. But getting back to myself and the family, we moved up here in 1981 from the Numurkah area in the northern Victoria, because basically we got sick of milking cows. That's about it. So the property that we bought was, we bought the farm of George's brother out at Rangemore Neem, or Jim Ringle, and that was originally owned by the Martin family. So this, there's not very much, we've got the 7 degrees of separation. So yeah, so it's a very close-knit community. So, but I've been gone from this area 10 years now, but not a lot has changed. So that's about my brief history.
Very good, very deserving round of applause, and great start, Kingsley. Just go back to a part. You have a trade by any chance?
Well, our family, Dad's family was always big families, and there was never enough room on the farm, so they all had to diversify and get jobs and so forth. Dad and his brothers were builders. They built all the dairies. I think my dad's younger brother has built over 1,000 dairies in the Rural Finance and Soldier Settle Commission. They started off at the Katunga Numurkah area, and they won the contract out at the HB settlement. And Dad's younger brother still builds down that area down there. So, and I, come home from school, got sick of the teachers, and after about 6 months, Dad and myself got sick of one another. I got a job working with Dad's younger brother. I think he might have teed him up at the pond one night and said, "Get the young bloke out of here, I'm sick of him." So I went building for about 8 years, and that's I was still bricklaying and building when we moved up to Wakool in 1981. And that's about the start of my story here in 81. And if you want to talk about any football history, probably the person in the room here would be Max Tariq, would have a fair bit more knowledge of what I've got. And if you want to know anything about statistics, go see Mick Katner. But it's the start of the the start of the 2020 first started. They hosted. The hard work was done years prior to us moving here. Sam Coote on the committee, president a number of times. Trevor Green was the treasurer at the time. Trevor, we never knew that family until we moved up here, but found out we got common grandfather back about 5 generations ago. So we all originated from down Lansfield and Robinsley, where Trevor and Noel and Desi Green originally come from. So, yeah. Yeah, as I said, the committee done the hard part. Peter Lowry, Ian Main and myself were probably part of the main building committee, and we had the easy bit. We just done the work. The others done all the, I just done the laying the bricks and the concreting and so forth. All other, there's a few, I can tell you a few shocking stories about that.
actually, it was good fun. Wakool had a great year in football and netball, hadn't they? And so that's how it really started, and was quickly put together so we could get it done before presentation night after there'd been a grand final and won one, and we had fun. I can't. Who? Kevin. Oh, yeah. No. Oh, yeah, sorry.
No,
I'm hogging it.
I'm just whispering the answer to her. I don't want her to fail the answer.
I'm sorry, Kevin.
Yes.
So, Dad, where are you? Down the back of this one. Your new glasses put on. So, Brian read this earlier tonight, and he said, with Sam not being here, this needs to be read out. So, take it away, little Sam. This is from the president. It's like a dream come true. Everything fell into place last summer when we got the big fencing contract with KAJX, which gave us a good club backing to start the season. After our appointment of coaches, Benji, Rowdy and Woody, and return of some local players to the club, we started to look right. At this stage, we thought we might win more games than losses. Not even thinking that we would see the reserves in first playing in the grand final, which is a wonderful achievement after starting from the bottom. The input of the committee, the club, as a whole, makes these things come true. Thanks to everybody who supported the club throughout the year. Please get behind the club in 1990 and make it another successful season. Thank you. Welcome. Very welcome. For those of you who were involved with the club, now this was asked to fill out a player profile. Brad, welcome. How are you? Here we are. Look at that. So, Brad Walton. Let's see if we can get the first one right. What's your name? Yeah. Can you remember how old you were in 89? You were 32. Can you remember your footy number? I didn't ask you. You were 10. What was your nickname? Your favourite position? Rover. Your occupation back then, before you went to own events? Yeah, you were. Your life ambition, this one's a good one. You wanted to be rich. Can you remember the highlight of your career? Yes, Ben, he's done it. Your biggest disappointment was losing 2 finals by 1 point in 75. Your favourite food back then? It was roast, so it's a cow. Your favourite drink? Still is? Your idol. This is an interesting idol. Who was your idol back then? It was Jeff Reddy. Your local one. I can't remember you weren't a fighter. No, but you like Jeff Reddy. Okay. The teammate you most admired. And I admire you for naming this person, because I admire you too. Was it? It was Bill Gillens. Yeah. Bill back then had the biggest heart in the whole footy club, and we all knew that.
I
Before we go, why was he the most admired person? It was his attitude and determination. Troy, I hope you can remember piece of advice from a coach in '89 was take each week as it comes. Preston John Shaw, so I get the first question right for you. You were first. Okay, back in '89, how old were you, mate?
19 or 18.
Your number?
31.
Your nickname? No, it wasn't Big John, it was Johnny. Your favourite position, mate?
Wing or ring?
Yes, correct again. Your occupation back then?
Not a lot.
You were a wool technician. Now, Zoe Rod Dole, Triple A for Jeffrey Cole.
What's a wall technician?
Oh, man. Now, Shorey, this was a book that was put out after the '89 grand final. Now, the next question is, what was your life ambition? Shorey busted a wing and couldn't play in the '89 grand final. His life's ambition was to win a premiership with Wakool, which he did the following year. He took my place. I played '89, Shorey played '90, so we got one each. It's okay.
We don't share wives though.
That's what you think. Okay, the highlight of your career up to '89? It was winning the third best of Paris in '87.
There you go.
I've already mentioned your biggest disappointment, and that was dislocating your shoulder 2 games before the '89 final. Can you remember your favourite food back then?
Roast?
No, it was steak and lasagna.
Together.
Correct. Your favourite drink back then was chocolate milkshake.
Hey, the boss bought it in for us.
There's another story. That's crazy.
And the boss used to
We
bring
did. We were on the dairy farm at the time, and my man used to bring in bloody 20 litres of milk with chocolate topping in it. Oh, that's what we won. Couple more questions. We get into the good bit. Your most admired teammate? I'll read them for you. You might need a tissue. Your teammate most admired was Jamie Filmer. Why? Because of the way he held the players together in 1988. 88, we didn't win a game. So, yeah. Good job, sorry. Best piece of advice from a coach. They should have built a university at Wakool. There's just a couple of snippets out of the book that was put together by the girls up here. Hold to your own heroines. Marta, back to you.
Does that work? Working? So we want to go through the teams, the best teams, and then while that's out, I'll start them through, having a quick read before. And can we read the script?
Okay. Shit, technology.
Turn it on.
Okay, there was a team of the century put together at the end of 1989. There's a football one, then there's a netball one. So we'll go with the football one first.
From the back line, we've got Bill Hewlins, John Coote, Ralph Fair, John Cam, is it?
Yes.
David McCormick, Neville Rathbone, Billy Burke, David Landini, Noel Gray, Jim Gibson, John Maloney, Edgar Gunn, Craig Alderdice, Leon Whelan, Trevor Green, and followers and rucks were Bruce Robinson, Angie Maloney, Brad Walton. Interchange was Jim Walton, Steve McCormick, coach Pat Thompson.
So some of those names won't mean a great deal to the other ones in the room, but for some of you others, thank you. Some of you others, those names will be quite familiar to you. I'm going to hand it over to you, Mona, and you can go and find somebody to read the nipple one, I think.
I will find it while I'm walking this way. Yeah. There's nervous in the back corner.
Okay, so for the best netball team ever, apparently, goal shooter is Cheryl Lowry, GA is Julie Hare, wing attack, Jenny McDonald, centre, Cheryl Hare, wing defence, Janine Hare, goal defence, Lynette Hare, very common theme here, and GK is Kathy Martin, with the reserves being Sonia Mills and Robin McCauley.
Thank you very much, Mitch. Bit of a stitch up, but Mitch Larry has a fair line of strong genes and through the footy club, obviously as well. That's a pretty interesting book, and there's lots of info in there. It was a pretty interesting little read before. Staying on the sports scene at the moment, and going through the footy club, we might go back a little bit further in time, and we'll start with maybe Kath. Your first game of tennis would have been where? And would you like to explain a bit of that, or how you even travelled to a tennis court some days and where they were located?
I would suggest that probably Tulla was probably the first games of tennis. I told you the night we were there, I spent my childhood fat. I didn't play much sport. Tennis was about it. But I know that the tennis courts at Tulla, I know my dad, Harry Whitman, and a number of others were instrumental in building them there. And Sunday was always tennis at Tulla. I did play Wakool, but then coming home from Patho once after 40-degree heat and a bit of heat stroke, I gave up tennis and joined the rest of my family with Alan Adams' boat and learnt to ski. That was about it. Jill's a sporting person. Let me pass to her, hey?
And we were leading toward that. Jill, the tennis side of things, and probably in Wakool, when the tennis courts were at Wakool and sort of from all strands, I know, pretty sure the tennis court out at Rangemore, there's something in the Rangemore school as well at one stage, and so since they'd closed down and then everyone had sort of moved to probably Wakool, and that was what I remember, and then back before, if you could give a bit of description on the number of courts and how many people and teams and all that sort of stuff.
Oh, what I can remember is when I was younger, there were people like Bill Palmer. He was a very flamboyant tennis player, he was terrific. And there were Alexanders from Nurong used to come and play. The Martins, there were Martins, in that era. There was the next era that I didn't play then, I was too young, but and Ian Robinson was in that era, and he's here tonight. Then it sort of the next sort of person I can remember being very responsible and a very strong part of the Wakool Tennis Club was Wilma Ray and Hare, and soon became Hare, and she was a marvellous influence on the tennis club. And in the heyday, we had 8 pennant teams, senior pennant teams, and 3 junior pennant teams, which was absolutely marvellous. I know it was boosted up by the Lowry family, the Ives family, the Hare girls, and so it didn't take long to fill with those families involved. And it was a lot of fun, just a lot of fun. And most probably a lot of the fun was talking about it at Wardy's afterwards. And it's nice to see David here tonight, and that's so that's. Is that enough?
No, that's good, Jill. And yeah, there was the number of tennis players and the whole community and everyone was involved in it. And what we spoke about the other day, there was tennis, bowls, cricket, whatever you're involved in, and going back to the pub, and we were always interested and very eager to see how all the other teams went in whatever sport it was. And that was just part of the community spirit that we're bringing out tonight and talking about. And it was just a great venue, and how everyone was involved in it and excited about success in Wakool. We've done the footy, the tennis, there's a bit on probably cricket that we need to talk about.
I've just got a couple of things about cricket. There was town and country. I'm not we didn't have cricketers, but town and country teams and junior teams, and it was really strong. And the Hewlands and the Hares were very instrumental in the cricket club, especially Mrs. Hewlands. She was marvellous. And so I'm not going to pretend I know all about the cricket club, but it was very strong in those years.
So Mrs. Hewlands,
what
was the key part that you mentioned to me?
Oh, I suppose she did everything. She most probably scored, she carted juniors around, and
filled a car with kids and carted them away.
Yeah,
probably you in the room that might have travelled somewhere for cricket in her car.
I'd say so. She was a legend. Yeah, she was a good lady. Yeah. And I suppose we could move on to the bowling club, and which I'm not a part of the bowling club, but I just like to give a shout out to them, because they're the last sporting one standing in Wakool. So it's marvellous.
As well as the tennis and the cricket and the bowls, a big part of Wakool, as a lot of you may remember, was polocrosse. And George was a big part of the polocrosse with the horses, and his family were right into it. So George, would you like to give us a bit of a brief rundown on the history of the polocrosse in Wakool, please?
Yeah, I'm not sure what year it was. We started up, polocrosse started up here. Polocrosse started to get popular in New South Wales. I suppose I was playing football at Griffith, and then my brother was into polocrosse, and the old coach reckoned I wasn't practicing enough football, so I changed over to polocrosse. It would have been somewhere around the 1950s or so. And then when we moved down here, word got around, I think John Perrott come out and saw us out at the farm, and got me to come in. And our first game we played at George Hare's place out on the Denolican Road there, down the back paddock in the sandhills there. And then eventually the council, when they got the reserve going here, gave us a patch of ground there, and we played there. But we used to start about February. I think South Australia would have a competition going then, and then it'd move on to Victoria, and then New South would start about, I think, the first weekend in June. So we had a pretty full program. But what used to be the highlight was the long weekend in March. Ballarat would put on a 3-day polo cross carnival, and I had a semi, and we'd load it up with horses and plus a few floats, and we always had some teams down there, and we'd sweep it out and then put a tarp over it, and then camp in it, and then of course tell yarns and jokes and all that through the night, and it was a good weekend. Everyone looked forward to going to Ballarat for the weekend. And then we also had those, you know, further up the Red Cross Carnival, which was a big carnival in New South Wales. We played in that a few times. So it's always been, it's still going around the district, but not much now. They had a carnival this year at Swan Hill, but I don't know what else is going. No.
Yeah, but it is the polo cross, like all the sports in Wakool, was a big part of what made it the community that it is today. Just a quick question: did the polo cross guys and girls come back to Wardies as well, to the pub? Did they come back to the pub, George?
No? Polo cross people go back to the pub afterwards.
Oh, polo cross people didn't drink.
Just before we do move on, just before we do move on, George, did you happen to represent the country for any sporting achievements?
Yeah, I played in a few of the, as I said, the Red Cross Carnival. That was Australian, but then when I got a bit old for polo cross, they started up the tent pegging competition, which is tent pegging's an old military sport. According to them, I think he was a Methodist minister in Barramere, tell me they'd, you know, when the army was at horses and they all slept in tents, and they just on dawn when that light's bad, the first wave would come in and pull the pegs out of the ground, and then the next wave of soldiers would come in and round them up, round the soldiers up while they're half asleep. And so that developed. When England had occupied India, they had a lot of soldiers in India doing nothing, so they invented or put the sport of tent pegging into a competition where you got rules for you know, for picking up pegs and all that, and you had to do everything right, drill. And then when it came out to Australia, well, it developed from that, and I got elected as chairman of the Australian body, and then we got a few invitations overseas. The first overseas invitation we got was to Zimbabwe, which was only early 80s, if 2 or 3 years after Mugabe had taken Zimbabwe over. But I was a bit fortunate. For some reason, I'd been following the wireless when Mr. Smith was the last politician in Zimbabwe to pick up, like, go against Mugabe. But anyway, he got beat, and so we said, well, I went into Qantas and I said, I want 10 tickets to Zimbabwe. Does the pilot know where that is? And I said, yeah. So they donated us a fair discount on the tickets, and plus we had to take our lances, saddle and everything with us, so we had a fair sort of a load to take. But anyway, we got over there, and we didn't win the competition, but we got there at night, and then to step out next morning in Harare, and there's not a white person in sight, it's a bit of a shock to the system for a while. He got used to it. But no, we've had quite a few overseas competitions. South Africa, we've been there. Different teams have been there, quite a few. And just recently, probably 10 years ago now, but we had the World Championships in Egypt. It's interesting, like a lot of those countries, there's Oman and Pakistan and India, at home they're fighting, and yet they have a team that come to these competitions and they all get on together. Then when that's finished, they go back home and they're enemies. So it's one way that's good, but it's been a good worldwide, and we've had all those countries out here. What we arranged was when we sent them an invitation, you'd supply them with horses and food and a bed, and then when you went back over to their country, they do the same. It worked quite well.
A bit like Wakool, good community sort of spirit stuff, and linked up with everyone and took everyone in, and no matter who you were.
Yeah, no, we've had a few competitions like that. It's been good, and the last one I was at was Egypt. We had the World Championships over there, and it all went well, and it's a good competition, but it's all at a standstill at the moment for some reason.
I've got a bit of a treat for everybody next, but before we do, I had a bit of a talk with Brian. Brian and I have been bouncing ideas for tonight's proceedings backwards and forwards, and Kendall's going to play a little video for us. It's probably quite fitting. The people you see here tonight are just some of the people that have made up what is Wakool District, and unfortunately not everybody can be here tonight, and we've all got some that have fallen. They're not here with us for a whole heap of reasons. We've all lost brothers, children, mothers, fathers. So you'll see some people on this next video that aren't with us anymore, but yeah, no, it's all good, you know. Everybody just think about who you would like to be here with us tonight when you watch this.
Canberra TV present the world of sport tug-of-war. Nobody can like Canberra can.
Thank you, Doug, and welcome to round 6 of the Canberra television tug-of-war, and it should be a beauty today. A real grudge match for 1980 because both of these teams have met a couple of occasions so far this year, and the Diggers Rest have got the job ahead of them. And introducing the Diggers Rest Hotel team, 2. Number 1 today is Laurie Atwell, weighing in at 74. 2 is Stuart Croshaw, 77. 3, brother Brian Rule, 95. Alan Walsh is at 86. Brian Rule's brother Joe is the knock man today, weighing in at 88. And the anchor man for the Diggers Rest boys is Alan Geddes, weighing in at 113, giving them a total weight of 533, with their coach today, Ralph Cook. Their opposition, the Wakool Warriors, great duck shooting territory across the border. And let's have a look at them. Number 1 is Peter Grayco at 63. 2, Paul Gleeson, 73. 3 is Neil Gowdy at 77. 4, Ian Troy, 106.
Nobody can.
The knock man is Noel Leo, weighing in at 104. And the anchor man for the Wakool Warriors is Graham Flight, weighing in at 113. And incidentally, they are at maximum weight.
No, all good. We'll just get it. We'll get it spot on to start it. Well, just from the introduction there, with the volumes, pretty good.
Still here with us.
Kingsley, he's going to watch. Just here.
Do you want to grab the mic and just have a bit of a talk about the tug of war while we're getting our funk on here?
Get your funk. Is that on? Is that one working?
Correct.
You'll let that.
No, that's not. This is.
That particular episode was Wide World of Sport Channel 7. That was the year before I came to this area. And it was fairly legendary because it's fairly legendary. As the story goes about Polly, which isn't with us now. Tug of War has got a team limit of 620 kilograms. That's 4 righties, a knock man and an anchor man. And they all weighed in, and apparently they were a couple of kilograms over. And the team was able to get up and do their thing, and even though. But anyway, they got up to walk around, and Polly said, "We've got to go to the toilet anyway." Anyway, he walked around and come back, and the others just stood by the road and just staring at the rack, and they all come down and re-weighed in, but I don't know what happened, what Polly done out there, but he was 2 kilograms lighter.
That's a big
Anyway, so I'm not too sure who the coach was, but when I started with the club, Harry Duffy was the main coach. And then they come along Crunchy, then Neil Gowdy put on coaching when I was doing on the road. But the Wakool Rec Reserve, the Wakool show, used to host the New South Wales Tug of War Championships. Because the only reason Wakool was in the New South Wales team doing it. But we used to get all the teams up from Middle River, Werribee, all those places down there. And Keith's father, Jill's father, Woody, was very upset because they used to blow up in a bus and camp anywhere. And the next Sunday, there was bodies lying all over the cricket pitch and footy ground and so forth, and 3 or 4 of them were all curled up in Woody's wall display at the prohibited, but he wasn't real happy about that. But anyway, I'll let this video roll.
Thanks, Kingsley. Thanks, Kingsley. We're close. Nah, we can come to that. We will keep proceeding along, and while waiting for this picture and this film to come up, we might lead into a pretty good segue for your father, Jill, and his contribution. I'll leave it at that, and Jill can explain the rest.
Woody was sort of a dreamer. He always had the ideas, and he always dreamt about movies. I remember as a little girl, he used to like to go over and movie nights and show them that's what we did like that. And then he progressed to the whole Wakool Hall. He showed some movies there, and then of course he just went to the theatre. So that was pretty amazing, really. They held 390 seats because there was 15 to a row, alphabetical order, and I think Barbie Green, the McCormick and myself, we used to sweep after each day after each showing, so we remember every cheer. But in the heady days, there were 5 showings a week, Friday, Saturday and Monday, a matinee on Saturday afternoons, and on Wednesday nights. We had to book on Saturday nights. I still remember when people sat, Mrs. Green was in E1, and so it was rather amazing, really. rise of theatre was television and better roads and better cars and better moved around more. But the community just supported it. It was wonderful. My mother ran the snack bar, and she felt as though there was a need for the cafe, so she converted it into a 7-day-a-week cafe. And because there were lots of railway workers and water commissioning bachelors a lot, so she always felt they needed a feed, and so that led to the cafe starting. And my aunt came and called me. She took over from when Mum left, and Joe Kingston was one, and then a lot of people in between, Burnett and Sandra, and now Marie Whelan and her guy. They're running a marvellous business and has given him all the real injections.
So I just on that little query, the Saturday was a book out there today. Would you have his football team was St Kilda, and did it possibly have anything to do with the showing that night?
Well, going back, it was quite lucky. We had a lot of offsiders. One stage was Kenny Moore, Sexton and Vendor, and Tom Boswell, Alan Adams used to help him, and we had a very amazing right-hand man in Jeff McDonald, who was marvellous. And anyway, we were always in fear and trembling in those days with VFL. It was only on Saturday, it was only on Saturdays, and he was just a passionate Saints supporter, and occasionally on the Saints' rare win, the movies were late. It affected us. But anyway, that was all part of it. Well, can I just say one more thing about him while I'm talking? After that, he always had an idea, so as Kingsley mentioned before, that I heard him say that the Wolf Centre in Woodland Hall, that he started that, but there were terrific people that helped him there, and Kingsley was one, and Bill McCormick was another, and the one that helped him most was his girl Friday, Irene Coote, and but Wakool and District were terrific place for him. Thank you.
Excellent. I think rewind. I think we might be good to go on Tug of War. Is that right?
Canberra TV present the world of sport Tug of War. Nobody can like Canberra can.
Thank you, Doug, and welcome to round 6 of the Canberra Television Tug of War, and it should be a beauty today. A real grudge match for 1980 because both of these teams have met a couple of occasions so far this year, and the Diggers Rest got the job ahead of them. And introducing the Diggers Rest Hotel team, 2. Number 1 today is Laurie Atwell, weighing in at 74. 2 is Stuart Croshaw, 77. 3, brother Brian Rule, 95. Alan Walsh is at 86. Brian Rule's brother Joe is the knock man today, weighing in at 88. And the anchor man for the Diggers Rest boys is Alan Geddes, weighing in at 113, giving them a total weight of 533, with their coach today, Ralph Cook. Their opposition, the Wakool Warriors, great duck shooting territory across the border. And let's have a look at them. Number 1 is Peter Grayco at 63. 2, Paul Gleeson, 73. 3 is Neil Gowdy at 77. 4, Ian Troy, 106. The knot man is Noel Leo, weighing in at 104. And the anchor man for the Wakool Warriors is Graham Flight, weighing in at 113. And incidentally, they are at maximum weight of 536 kilos. They're coached by Richard Crutch, and in just a moment, as I said, this should be great competition. We'll be back for round 6 of the Canberra Television Tug of War. Welcome back to Canberra Television's Tug of War, Heat 6 today. There goes the whistle for the strain to be taken up with 10 seconds. Tug of 2 minutes. There goes the bell, and this should be a very, very even competition. Diggers Rest grabbing virtually an eighth of an inch, but then losing it, and still very, very even at the moment. Wakool Warriors and Diggers Rest have met on 2 occasions so far this year, and the Wakool Warriors have been successful. They were winners at the Barham Show and also at Pyramid Hill, and Diggers Rest are looking to change that form today. But at the moment, the Wakool Warriors are holding almost a quarter of an inch at the moment. Very, very handy at this stage because there's very little between both of these teams. Both anchormen weighing in at 113. And it's still the Wakool Warriors by a little over a quarter of an inch at the moment.
Hold him there. Hold him, hold him.
Alan Geddes calling for a little more from the Diggers Rest boys. They're going to have to really apply the pressure soon because we're past the halfway mark.
Give him another one. 1, 2,
Richard Crutch of the Wakool Warriors getting his boys to hold. Anchorman Graham Flights is quite unconcerned about it all, but on the other hand, have a look at the Diggers Rest Alan Geddes, really putting the pressure on. And it's going to be, I think, the Wakool Warriors that are holding by at the moment. Almost half an inch now, and that's one of the greatest margins they've had so far. Wakool on the right, Diggers Rest on the left. And the Wakool Warriors are looking to make it 3 in a row so far this year. Less than 10 seconds to go. By gee, this has been close. Diggers Rest pulling them back, but I don't think they're going to do it. There goes the bell. And a titanic struggle. Great performance by both teams. The victory just going to the Wakool Warriors, and my word, both of these teams absolutely exhausted after a great battle indeed. Never more than half an inch between either teams. In fact, the official margin has been given now as a quarter of an inch, so that just gives you some idea of just how close it was. And let's now go to Jack Dyer and we'll meet the coaches.
Congratulations. Thanks, sir. Oh, Joe does a keen, you're keen over there.
Oh, yeah, they're pretty fit boys.
Pretty fit. How long have you been training them this time?
Oh, we started in August.
August, did you?
Yeah.
And is this a new crop you've got, or is it the old?
Well, no, it's not our original team. A couple of the boys couldn't make it, and we've put a couple extras in.
You haven't had trouble getting recruits?
Oh, we've just run around about the 10 blokes during the season that we can get. It's not bad. A small area that we're from, they're pretty good.
Pretty good up there. Well, congratulations again. Thanks. Talk to you, Ralph. It was pretty close there.
Yeah, it was.
You're a little bit disappointed too.
I am a bit disappointed. Our anchorman's only it's his first season, and you know, he's only sort of growing at it, but he's coming good, and he'll be better.
Do you get many to pick from?
No, we're down to a bare minimum at the moment. We used to have 2 teams, but down to a bare minimum. We find it a bit hard because Diggers Rest not a real big place.
And then, what do you want? Do you want bigger players?
Oh well, I wouldn't say. You know, we're pretty stronger. Probably, you know, new blood, and it always helps. Just like the football side, I suppose. It all helps.
Even today, I was talking to Ian Troy out there early today. He still keeps in contact with that Diggers Rest coach, Ralph Cook. So they've probably known one another for over 45 years now. So and they still keep in contact. So. And Jeff Bogey was another member of the Wakool team. He made the rack. Wakool had their own rack for the championships here we had at the Wakool show each year. And Ian Troy's still got to sit it in his backyard. So it's probably 45-year-old now, I reckon. It should be a museum piece.
I'm just trying to get ready, Brian. I had some questions to ask some people, but a couple of them have gone. One of them still in the room here is Brian Lodge and Jenny. We were talking about Rich Tapestries earlier. Brian's son Warwick, to this day, is still my best mate. But Brian, we talked earlier, about the old school days and what you guys used to travel on, girls and boys, and you had a special nickname for that bus. What was it?
The kids nicknamed the old green pig. It had a bull nose on the front of it and it's sort of square and tapered off the back, and it was just like the shape of a pig. And I can tell you this, I come down with my mum and dad in 1948 and I was 1, and I was 40 when I left here. 41 when I left here, so it's exactly 40 years. But that old green bus, I went to school in 1952, and my brother Fred started on an earlier bus than that. But I went to school with Jeff. Fred was 12 when he took me here, and Jeff was about 6, so they went to school before I did. But 1952, and we used to sit on that bus with our back to the back of the windows, and and it was all dirt roads and all that sort of stuff. And the old green bus used to have a fair bit of trouble. We used to get involved, and well, the stand had a magneto in it, and it got really bloody hot. Here's a car, and we'd be sitting there for 15 minutes or something till it cooled down. And then if we got wet, it'd get wet and it'd stop. So, I'm sitting there for another 15 minutes. But yeah, it was interesting, it was good fun. And a bit later on, when the capacity of the school bus got a bit fuller, they put old bench stools down the centre of the bus, and the last few kilometres of Barham, they sat on the bench stool down the middle of it, that bolted it down like, it was, and it was all my cons because they had a very interesting operation how they used to open the doors. You had to walk up, open the door yourself. There was a dog chain tied to the door and a 6-inch nail on the dashboard, and the dog chain would go over the 6-inch nail, and then if you get off, she'd let the and old Mr. Thompson drove that bus. And in the 56 floods, we all went to school on tractor and trailer, and we got belted in at Barham. It was one of the best floods ever, as everybody knows. And all this area was just an old, you couldn't get to Denny, you couldn't get to Barham, you couldn't get to Swan Hill, and you couldn't get to Northern. So it was just a huge island. And my brother Fred used to drive the tractor, an old WD9, and Jen's brother Charlie used to do the Colorado. So it was only a flat trailer. You had nothing to hang on to, and we just sat on there behind on the trailer. And when it got a bit washy, you had to stand up and hang on to one another. But yeah, that was good old days, and I take my hat off to the Thompsons and the likes. They've done a fantastic job that day. Because Dad and I got into the bus industry, and we had enough troubles on Richmond roads and modern machinery. So that's just,
So you appreciate what they went through with the dirt?
Yeah, that's right.
Thank you so much for the stories, Brian. Like Brian, everybody here I know has got some very special memories of growing up and living in Wakool. And apart from the old days, we have some new people in our town too. We've got people coming and going all the time, and being a part of the Wakool community is all about making memories. And in another 50 years they'll be telling their stories, and it'll feel like they've been here forever too. So if you get a chance, introduce yourselves to some of the newer members of our town, because most of them are pretty good people. So, nice. There's a couple of dodgy ones that don't pay the bills. Back to you, Brian.
I just want to add a little bit to Brian's story. I read there's a few books that are kicking around. John, I don't know the names of that. But it was in there, I was reading, and it was the 56 floods and that.
punt you had to cross to get from this side of Hawker River to the other side. And I think it was Ralph Walker was talking about it. And I don't know who was running it and whatnot, but there was a sign that was put on a tree there, punt leaves every hour on the hour. And a couple of years later, once everything had returned to normal and the river was this wide and only that deep, and people would travel through town and get to Barham or on this side to Wakool, and they were really perplexed by this sign. It was still stuck on the tree, punt leaves every hour on the hour. So, pretty interesting sort of thing that hung around for a while due to those 56 floods. And probably, we've got a lot we're not going to get through, but getting into the floods and then probably the farm side of things, and maybe when the channels, there's a few big inclusions that sort of developed Wakool, and it was probably the irrigation channels and the railway lines, a couple of big ones that did come up. Probably the rice industry side of things that came out of that as well, and everyone had a lot to do with that. I was reading one of those books, when Tulla Station got split up and the first rice crops were put in 1944, there was a tender that went out from the government because they were growing these trial crops, and the tender they put out was for 130,000 bags of rice and for people to come in and sew those up. The tender was obviously filled, but we spoke about the hanger twine the other night, and if any of you like to go down that hanger twine and run us through the setup that it was and where it went, how many stitches and what they were stacked in. And this was going to be part of Sam Cootsie, because at the end of every 10 rows there was a marker left, and I'm not too sure which one of you would like to take that away.
Is this on? Yeah. I remember we talked about it on the night. I didn't have a clue how many stitches you were supposed to do, but I said that when
16.
Someone said 13. When I first came down, my first memories of rice were we had draft horses. We were only little kids, you know, that to tow the header. We were allowed to help put the stuff away, the yokes and harness and stuff. But that's how we first started. Now, in addition to that, there was no trucking it to Burraboy. The rice was bagged off, and then the stack of bags would be put off on the paddock, and you have people come in and sew the rice bags. And I know I said, I think I was sliding, I said I reckon I could still do it, because we used to, as kids, and a beautiful man called Teddy Adlington, who used to come down and sew bags with us, and that's how we got to talk about it. But I didn't know how many stitches. 16. All right, George, I believe you.
16 stitches, and at the every 10 stacked in rows of 6, and at every 10, George, what did they leave as a memento to know where?
Sorry, I didn't.
What was left at the end of every 10 rows, so they knew where they were up to and they had a count. They actually sewed it in the bag, I believe. There was a big.
I'm not stuffing.
Stuffy. They left the stuffy on the bag, in the bag, and they sewed it in there, so when the boys on the other end were unloading them, they knew what their count was up to, and they'd have their little refreshment as they were unloading all these bags.
Did they have stubbies there? Would have been a long neck, for sure.
All the 60 bags, all got a long neck too. So, yeah, it would have been a long neck for sure. George?
I'm still looking for that long neck.
George, I'm going to ask you another question on the floods, and I'm pretty sure it might have been the 56 floods. But can you describe, you helped a friend, Keith, cross get his sheep from one side of the floodwater to the other side, and I just want you to run through what you're on, what you use, and the circle work you ended up doing.
Okay. We, as you know, Keith had Balshaw's at that time, and the next to us we had Mr. Spittle owned it. We bought it off Spittle, and it ran back onto the Wakool River, and we're on the Porthole Creek. We're supposed to get a notice, 12 hours notice when the flood would come up, but it always beat us. So I got most of my sheep out. Excuse me, but Keith, as I said, he had the next door. He was caught over there with his mob of sheep. So we said, oh, we'll give you a hand. We had some great equipment. We had a tank off an aeroplane with 2 44-gallon drums each side. That was the float. So Keith was in that with a shovel as an oar, and he's trying to direct the sheep across the river. We had the dogs behind them. If you're anything to do with sheep, you know how intelligent they are. So they get about halfway across this flowing river creek, and the leader turns around and he goes back where he comes. So he comes around, so we had to start all over again. But we got Keith's sheep over, and we didn't lose any. What we used to get anything with the horns, a ram or a stag, and hook him onto especially if you had a horse or something, hook him onto that, and you'd go through the floodwater and drag him through, and the sheep would follow him. But Keith was out with the shovel and the oar trying to keep these sheep in a straight line. But we got there. Got a bit wet, but we got there.
Pretty good ingenuity there to use that, and I think it was pretty clever. Everyone, they made do with what they had, and they did a pretty good job of it. On the rice, Kingsley, maybe you probably came to the area and kicked off into the rice industry. You got any sort of wisdom there, and when you turned up, and so you probably seemed pretty developed and was off and running already?
Oh, when we first arrived here, we were still using bags and soaking in the channel, but we basically got interested in rice growing probably 10 years prior to moving up here through our main activities of shooting ducks and foxes on rice crops and farms, and more around the Denny area. But we decided to set up the dairy farm and move this way. There's probably more farms to say this way, bigger properties and river frontage sort of entice us to come here because there's a bit of fishing and shooting and so forth. But I think I shot less ducks after owning a rice farm than when we come up, get away from the cows and shoot as a recreational pastime. But yeah, no, it's changed in the short time that we were in the industry from throwing bags and towel and dragging them out, and it was always a cold windy day when you had to bring them out. And unloading bags of urea, like 25 tonne at a time off the semi and chuck them on in the loft and somewhere. So there was always a time when you were sort of hung over. But one of our ag pilots, I don't know how he survived so much. He was a little short guy, and Shane would know him fairly well. He took off from Edgar Pickle's airstrip, and I can remember a number of times drinking up until 1 or 2 o'clock, and laying in bed hung over, and here's the pilot you're drinking with a number of hours earlier buzzing your house, getting you out of bed. so things have changed as far as that's concerned, but yeah, no, the rice industry really enticed us through our recreational activities.
Good stuff. There's a bucket load of other topics that we had to get through. We're not going to be able to get everything through here. I think it's been great, but Jason, I believe you're going to do a little presentation here or with someone and take it.
So it is what we do, what everybody does when something reaches 100 years, we have a cake. So we have a cake. And it's decorated beautifully in purple and gold. And we're going to get Jim Amor and Hayes, if you'd like to come up, fellas, we might shove this out here a bit somewhere. So, like Brian said, there are a million stories that do make up our wonderful tapestry that is Wakool, and we've touched on a few of them tonight. We've touched on a few of them tonight, so I'd just like, firstly, for you all to put your hands together for our guest speakers. I hope you enjoy these stories. And I do hope that you all continue to enjoy the evening and have some drinks and talk about the old times, talk about the good times, have a little small chat about the bad times, and really to talk about what's going to happen from here on in. Yeah, well, you're going to turn them the other way. Here we go.
I would like to thank the committee for giving me the privilege of cutting the 100-year anniversary cake on behalf of the citizens of Wakool and District, along with Pat Hose. This cake represents both past and present citizens. My association with Wakool as a descendant of the early settlers who arrived and settled in the area in 1900. I also had an ancestor who represented Wakool and Merlimane as a councillor. Right, we better have a go at this game.
You guys will have to sit here behind the cake and let anyone that wants to come and take a photograph, or we might pose for a couple of photos in a minute. You guys got a license for this? It's not an issue. She has a knife. Don't cut the weapon, apparently, because it's cardboard.
Put your hand on it.
And we're going to do that plaque, are we? Or not?
Oh, we better. Who do you want
Well,
to
we
do it?
should.
Yeah, they're going to last
Oh,
thing.
I can do it by myself, really, or Dennis Gleeson, whatever.
Yeah,
I was just going to say what the Golden Hawks are about, just for 2 minutes, if you want to, but just rather because everyone's going to get up and leave in a minute, I think that, anyway, just tell Jace or whatever, whatever you reckon.
Yeah, we need to do it.
Yeah, right.
Huge on the Lakota. We had a little thing of Tullico before we go, and we've got one little, it's actually quite a big thing that we're going to unveil a little bit later on, but there were some competitions running at Tullico this afternoon that John's going to give the results of. But this time last week, we held the Melbourne Cup Calcutta in this very room, and all the walls were white. There was not one thing on any of these walls. So a big shout out to the people who collated the information from down at the footy club, but also a big shout out to May, Tom Toy and Chucky Pete for the work that they did, getting all this nice and straight for our enjoyment this evening. Well, you can't pick up at a party like this. She's too old for you.
She's a good sword. Settle there, Jim. Good boy.
Take it away, John.
Yeah, thanks guys. Today at Tullico we actually just to not taking away from many of the celebrations of Wakool. We also are doing stuff out at Tullico with the hall and reminiscing. And we actually had about 140 people coming through this afternoon, which was really good. Big thanks to the main helpers out there, taking photos and It was Brooke and Diane Doyle, and we got quite a good little group out there. But we decided, because we've got a lot of memorabilia out there, there's a few things that we saw and we thought, well, what the bloody hell is that? So we actually picked out three things that were probably what we didn't know what they were, and we decided to actually put them up as a bit of a competition. There was 3 items. The first one was that, so anyone that was out there today, I'll pass them around, mate, and have a look at them. We were actually going to do the same thing, but it was a bit hard to actually let everyone else have a go. But that was the first one. The second one was that. And then the third one was that thing. So out of all the, I think there was probably 60 odd people that actually filled out. They had a little sheet to fill out, and it was just with the 3 pictures and what you thought they might have been. Now out of the 60 odd that we had, I think there was 3 people that actually got it right. They got one thing right out of the 3, and the 3 people were saying so. They're the ones that actually we've got a little bit of a hamper or something for the 3 people. But so overall, the top, the only one that anyone picked was this one here in the middle. So the people that actually did get it right, one bloke over here smiling because he knows he got it right. It was Stan Anthony, George Rathbone, and
it's not an aerial for a mobile man.
And Glenn Venner, scooter boots. So,
what is this bus?
So what they are, the first one there is a hood, hand curler, or scooter or whatever else. So in the early days, you used to pick it up and you curl your hair with it. So it's like Alex blows the whole dance with that one. There's the second one, that's a remnant of my heritage, my grandfather. One of the crops they used to grow was broom millet. And broom millet used to be pressed, that was a broom millet press. And the brooms used to be shifted to tubing, and they still make brooms today, some today. So when you buy a broom, the broom millet, that was the press that they used to use. They used to put a trailer jack on top and squash it down. So, you pick that one. And now for the last one. This was really Brooke was supposed to tell a story on this, but on the Hollands' property a number of weeks ago, was it? Yeah, somebody was wandering around and they stumbled over this thing. And it's actually here somewhere, but nobody had any idea at all, and I don't think Brooke will never do that. And so, gets in the box. So anyway, at the end of the day, what it is, Mr. Railway line wasn't very far away from their place, and it's actually a crimper, like a ticket crimper. Is that what the?
It's called a bell punch.
That's
I looked it up. It's a bell punch.
And so, yeah, so the leader on top, they just use crimp, and you can actually pass it stuff. But quite an amazing find. So anyway, so congratulations to our 3 winners. One thing that this has really brought out is how important history is, and people we had our colour-filled bus trip and seeing all the stuff up at the hall. I think it's actually reinvigorated how important it is to actually preserve history, and I think it's all the stuff that we've seen today. Hopefully that's going to get the next generation to do the same. Yeah. Anyway, have a good night.
When you get Brian to get Max up, when you get Brian to get Max up.
That's on the agenda.
Oh, it already was.
Sorry, Mrs. Neighbours, I'm going to be using notes. I hate public speaking at the best of times. So. Wow, what a fantastic day. I trust you've all had a wonderful time. Reminiscing and seeing familiar faces. Wakool holds a special place in all our hearts. How lucky we were to grow up here. I love Wakool and our community. The best part of owning the post office cafe is seeing everyone every day, having a bit of banter, looking out for each other, helping each other and being there for each other. I really do treasure this. It has been incredible reminiscing about the good old days and hearing some funny stories. On behalf of the Wakool Community Progress Association, I would like to sincerely thank you all for attending and making this weekend such a memorable one. Thanks to everyone who helped make this all possible. We couldn't have done it without you. I do want to make a special mention of a couple of incredible ladies who without them this simply would not have happened. So firstly, Anne Hamilton, the instigator of this whole idea. The project manager, the chef and everything else in between. Anne is extremely passionate about our town and has thrown everything into making this event a success. And also Christine Dartnell. This lady is a wealth of knowledge, and for someone who is not even from Wakool, has been an integral part of organising this celebration. Together, Anne and Christine compiled all the photographs for the new Wakool photo book, which I'm sure a lot of you purchased today and will treasure for years to come. The amount of hours they have spent on all of this is insane, but truly admirable. I would like to invite Anne Christine through. Give them just a huge round of applause for those two ladies.
Yeah.
Good girl. Well done.
Cool, Max.
Hello, Max. Would you like to come and unveil our little plaque? Shut up, you. Well, Max is going to have a little walk.
So,
hang on, Max.
Yeah, so this, thanks Ian. Everyone from starting off with probably thank again and Marie and everyone else that has been for setting up all the old stuff, from probably the barbecues to the colourful hall setups and everyone that's contributed. Like, you couldn't thank enough people, and this is what it's about, the Wakool community, the spirit, and from all the way back to now, and today, and everyone that's pulled in has been massive. You'll never be able to get named, but you know who you are, and everyone here appreciates it. But I'll pass this on to Max, and there's a bit of a sign up here going by, and it's got to do with everything and the whole Wakool history and building of Wakool together.
Okay, thank you for that. Tonight's a bit of a thank you for 30 years and 2 months since we started the Wakool Golden Hawks Club. And what it was about, I'll be real quick.
Max, can you just a little bit closer, sorry.
A bit closer. Okay, what it was about was we're trying to raise money outside the footy club to help pay players virtually. Because you think we've been paying players that long, or it was well over 20 years we've been paying players to try and keep the club alive. So anyway, we got this group, and it was on, was it August 1995? 30 years ago and I can't believe it's that long, but I looked it up yesterday, this last week. 30 years and 2 months it's been going. Well, actually, it hasn't been going the last 5 years because we haven't had a meeting. Because I'm just the treasurer and I've been treasurer for 30 years. Leon World was president. Once Leon passed, unfortunately, we didn't appoint another president, and Bob Sheldrick was our secretary, and he passed as well, and John Coote took over that. But we haven't had a meeting for the last 5 years because things sort of dropped off, but we had money on fixed deposit. So one of my favourite things is saying to people who think that Wakool folded because we didn't have money, well, I had money. The Golden Hawks, right? And so we, at different times we got about 60,000 one year when they didn't raise money. That was from, we grew a bit of rice, we grew Venezuelans, we grew some wheat out of Dave McMillan's. We had cattle from the dairy farmers because there was 19 dairy farmers those days. Now there's 2 or 3. Anyway, we raised money that way, and then probably the greatest thing we did was start the sheep races, and they've been extremely successful. And this year, the Golden Hawks don't run it now, the Progress Association does, but this year I think might have been the biggest year for the sheep races. My dream was always we'd get 1,000 people at sheep races. Well, I don't think I'm ever going to see it, but I think we've probably got maybe 500 this year or better anyway, from what I can hear anyway. It went really well. Anyway, this is virtually a thank you to every Golden Hawks member. We started off with $150 a membership, and the first year we got 59 members. So that was our first money, and we just decided to try and make it up. And we were paying players, I'll tell you exactly how we were paying players, what do you call it down in Melbourne, make them a handbag. And they go home, yeah, I'm not supposed to do it, it's illegal, right? But we were doing it anyway. And all other clubs were doing it anyway. Other clubs started before we did. And we give them money, and the first year we might have given the coach an extra $100 or whatever, and it built up to, in 2006, we gave one player $1,000 a week cash every week. I gave them cash on the Saturday night after game. Another couple of players big money, and that same year I gave two others $600. So truly, my wife, who was in the Westpac Bank, she'd bring me home $3,000 every Friday night. Money for netball and football, awards and things like that. So that's what we had. So now we don't operate, but believe it or not, we've still got a bit of money, and we gave $10,000 5 weeks ago to pay for this room. To pay for the putting up of everything, do all the jumpers and do all the monitors as well. So that's we gave 10. We're still anyway, and we're still going sort of with this. There's 5 obviously quite another place. And Sam come here tonight because he took over as secretary. But anyway, this is what the Progress Station have honoured us with this. So now I think, well, gee, Golden Walks are worthwhile having, because this is going to be here. And I said to someone today, gee, I've got, if visitors come to a tutor right here now the last 5 years, I can bring them out to Wakool, bring them to this room and show them what this is. Because everything I've been told that's down at the hall today is all going to end up in this room. It's going to be in cabinets, it's going to be all around the room, so rather than have it going to Bracken Room down at Footy Sheds, it's all going to be here. And it'll be this place, so it's only Durex I presume. So we're very honoured. It's called the Golden Hawks Auditorium. Thanks everybody who remembers all the way through. Okay, thank you.